No problem. Okay, let's get started. So this is going to be an overview about three things basically today. One would be the joins, two, group by and having, and then three would be unions. So let's look at joins first. I just wanted to give a visual presentation first before we dive into queries so that the concepts are understood better this way. So why do we need joins in the first place? So if you take any organization, every single organization is going to have a lot of information or data to be stored in the database. And of course, you cannot stuff all of them into one single huge table. So if you have employee details, you cannot stuff all the employee details into one table. That would be practically not easy to manage or organize data. So we pull them apart concept-wise, idea-wise into different tables. And then whenever we need these information to be seen together, the related information from different tables to be seen together, we need to pull them together. And that's why we need joins to join multiple tables. So there are several combinations of joins. So the first one is going to be inner join. It is simply called as join because 99% this is the most used join in the industry. So inner join is the join that is taking place by default when you use the word join without mentioning whether it's inner or left or right. So you have an inner join and then a left join, a right join, an outer join. It's also called a full join or full outer join. There are variations in the terminologies. And then these three I just want to mention so that you know that there is such a thing, but it's hardly used. There's a left join excluding inner join, right join excluding inner join, and then the outer join excluding inner join. We'll see what they are shortly. So what is the inner join? Here, consider this A as table A, this circle, and then consider the right circle B as table B. And then we have some data in common in the center. These are also called the matching rows, which will make sense when we go into the queries. So inner join extracts out the matching rows from both the tables. So that's why this is basically the intersection of table A and B. So if you see in this figure, these when these two circles merge, you have three different areas basically. Area 1, Area 2, and Area 3. Area 1 could be called the rows which are in A, but nothing is common with that in B. Area 2 are the rows which are matching to both A and B. And then 3 is exclusive to B and not present in A. So if we keep that in mind and keep going, the next one is left join. So left join is all of the left table, which is table A here, and then nothing from B. But the matching part from B is included. So it's all the rows from A and only the matching rows from B. That's it. So it's basically 1 and 2 put together. Keep in mind it's not the same as just table A. Although the diagram looks like it's just table A, it's not, because the B part is merging on it also. And then you have the right join. Similarly, it's all of the rows from the table B, which is on the right, and then only the matching rows from table A, which is on the left. So it's 2 plus 3, but without the 1. So we saw inner join, we saw left, and we saw right, and this is outer join, which is basically everything. All the rows in A and all the rows in B, which also automatically includes the matching rows from both. So it's 1 plus 2 plus 3. And then these are the less known or the uncommon ones, which is left join excluding inner join. So if you just split these up, you will know what it is. So a left join would have this part 1 and 2, right? But the 2 is the inner join part. So you exclude that. So that means you get just 1 without the 2, without the 3. Similarly, right join excluding the inner join would be, a right join would have 2 and 3, right? So you exclude the 2 and then all you get is 3. So it would be 3 without 1 and 2. And then the last one is outer join excluding the inner join. So outer join, we saw that it was everything inclusive, 1, 2, and 3, right? So you exclude the middle part, the 2, and what you get is 1 and 3. As I said before, these last 3 are hardly used, but just for the knowing sake, you can, get familiar with the terms. Having seen what they are visually, I want to show you a table for example and how we work out the queries. Okay, so I have 2 tables for illustration. One is the employee table and the other one is the bonus for the year 2014 table. So the employee table has employee ID, employee name, department ID, and the designation. So the bonus table has the primary key, which is the bonus ID, and then it has the employee ID, and then it has something called intern ID, which means, some companies, they recruit college interns, and then eventually if they perform well, they would become future recruits, right? So those people, those people won't have an employee ID, instead they would have an intern ID. And then the bonus amount. So now I'm going to perform joins on these 2 tables. So let's look at a scenario where you want all the employees' details to be listed who have received bonus in 2014 with their bonus amounts. So you want to know all the employees who received bonus this year and their details, the employee details and the bonus details. So how would the query go? I put select star so that you just get all the columns, but in the real world you might just selectively place 2 or 3 columns that you need. But for simplicity's sake, we'll just have select star. So it would be select star from employee, the first table, join bonus 2014, the second table, on the condition. What's the condition? The employee ID is the common element that is tying up these 2 tables together. So that common element you would be mentioning here as the equality condition. And then here I'm saying only join. I'm not specifically mentioning inner join. You could mention inner join, there's no harm in that. But by default, when you say join, it is an inner join. It's assumed. So what would I get as a result is the matching rows from both these tables. So if you see here 1001, 1004, 1006, 1007, these 4 are the employees who have gotten bonuses this year, and these last 2 rows are the interns. So I have to pick these 4 rows which are in the employee table as well, right? So the result would be these 4, 1001, 4, 5, 1, 4, 6, and 7. So I have all the columns from employee first listed, and then all the columns from the bonus table listed. And because the employees don't have an intern ID, this is originally a null from the bonus table itself. So don't mistake this null for the join null, which we will see later. This is the stored value from the bonus table itself. So these give the matching rows from both the tables. So next look at the left join. So the scenario is list all the employees' details along with any bonus details if they have received. So I want all the employees regardless of whether they received a bonus or not. And in case if they received a bonus, I want the bonus details also. So I'm going to do a left join with employee on the left because I want all the rows from the employee, right? So it would be a select star. Again, for simplicity's sake, I'm saying star. You can always mention the columns that you want here. So it would be select star from employee, left join, bonus 2014, the second table, on the condition, which is both the employee IDs comparison. So I'm going to have all the rows from employee table. That's why I highlighted in blue so that you see that all the rows from the employee table from here are going to be included, and only the matching rows from the, only the matching rows from the bonus table would be included. So you can see 1001 received a bonus, if you remember it. So I have the corresponding bonus table column here populated. And then if you also remember, let's memorize this quickly. So 4 employees got bonus, right? 1001, 1004, 1006, and 1007. Just memorize it for now. So 1004 right here. If you see, corresponding bonus values are populated. And then 1006, right? Corresponding bonus values are populated. And then 1007, corresponding bonus values are populated. The rest, which is 1002, all of them are null in bonus. Same thing, 1003, all of them are null in bonus. Similarly, for 1005, all of them are null in bonus. So this is what we mean by left join, where all the rows from the left table have their values and are placed in the results, and only the matching rows from the right table are placed, and the remaining ones are null. I hope you can compare this with the Venn diagrams that we saw earlier. You can see that. So you can imagine this part is the null part, and this was all the rows from the left, and then the matching values in the bonus table is the middle one, if you want to make a comparison. So let's go on to the right join. Again, the scenario is list all the bonus details for 2014. Now my focus is on the bonus. My focus is not on the employee, but my focus is on the bonus. I want all the bonus details that are given out for this year, along with any employee details if it is available, if it is applicable. So the query goes like this. Select star from employee, right join, bonus 2014 on employee ID equals bonus employee ID. So I highlighted here so that you know every single row from bonus table is picked out. So if you remember, bonus table has 6 rows, 1 through 6. So here, so I have all the 6 rows from the bonus table. So bonus ID, employee ID, intern ID, bonus amount, this is the entire bonus table. And this is exactly what you saw in the bonus table. On the left side, now I should only have the matching rows from employee table. And if you remember, 1001, 1004, 1006, and 1007 were the employees who received bonus. So only those 4 rows must be the matching rows from table employee. So here we go. So 1004, 1001, 4, 6, and 7 have the matching rows, and the remaining ones are null. I made a small mistake here, which is it's not an order. What I mean to say is after 1001, I should have the null row for 1002, and then another null row for 1003, and then I should have listed 1004. Sorry about that, but you get the point, right? Or I can quickly make the change. So 1001, 1001, 1002, and then 1003 did not receive bonus, so that should be null as well. And then 1004 had a value. (1005) did not receive a bonus. Okay. And then 1006 received a bonus. Oops, I messed up. Oh, the original one was right. Sorry. Let me revert back. Sorry about that. Okay, this is right. Because the bonus table is the first one that gets picked, and all the rows from the bonus table are selected. And 1001, 1004, 1006, and 1007 have matching rows in employee table, so it was right originally. So I have 1001, 1004, 1006, and 1007. So basically the mistake I did was I was looking from left to right, but I should have looked at it from right to left. This might be a mistake you could make too, so better to watch out. And then, so all the rows from bonus table, right? So on the right, I have 4 rows from employee in the bonus table, and the matching 4 rows from employee table did get picked. And then there were 2 rows in the bonus table that belong to the interns, which do not have corresponding matching rows in employee table, so the last 2 are null. So I hope it's clear now. It's clear, right? So let me just go over it one time. So we are doing a right join here. We want all the bonus details along with any employee details if it matches. So all the bonus details or the right table, all the entire rows is picked. And then if there are any matching rows in the employee table, which is on the left, are also displayed. So I have 4 rows from the employee table in the bonus that would match in the employee table. So those 4 are here. And then the remaining 2 interns do not have any matching rows in table A, which is employee. So the remaining 2 are null here. Got it, right? Okay, the next one is the full join or outer join or full outer join, whatever it is called. I learned something new today, which is when you write a full join query, you don't have to specify an on condition. So let's look at the problem first. List all the employee details and all the bonus details for 2014. So I want all the employee details and all the bonus details. So the query goes like this: select star from employee, full join, bonus 2014. That's it. I don't have to say on employee.employee ID equals bonus 2014.employee ID. I don't have to say it. I mean, of course you could say it, not a problem, but depending on versions of the databases, like, you know, like MySQL or Oracle, DB2, whatever it is, each one has its own flavor and slight syntax variations. And of course, I was trying these queries in MySQL, and I had problems when I mentioned outer and all that, and this is the only way to take it. I will run all of these to you to show how it works, but I'm just telling you. So this is the way it works in MySQL. And this join is a very, very bad idea. You know why? Because it's going to be all, right? So basically 7 rows in the first table and then 6 rows in the second table, and the result is going to be 42 rows. And these are tiny, teeny, weeny tables. If you go to the MMP, that's big enough, right? You will see how humongous a full join would be. So very bad idea to do, but you know, just for the knowing sake, you can learn it for interviews. So how does it work? So you take the first row in employee table, so this is 1001, right? And then that is combined with all 6 combinations of bonus. In bonus we had 6 rows, remember? So only the first one would match because 1001 had a matching bonus in the bonus table, and that's this one, and the rest of the 5 would be null, these, okay? And then next I move on to the second row in table 1, employee, which is 1002, right? And then that gets repeated 6 times because I have 6 combinations in bonus table and all of them are null. So on and so forth. So this will be table 1's row 1 with all combinations on bonus table 2, and then row 2 with all combinations of table 2, so on and so forth. So if you keep going, it'll be 42. Of course, I did not list them all, but you get the idea. So now we look at some examples from MMP. Okay. So I made some SQLs ready. So I picked 2 tables, which is the diagnosis table and the appointments table. So let's quickly look at them. So this is a diagnosis table. I hope you can see these fonts. So it has a diagnosis ID, appointment ID, diagnosis name, and diagnosis data. And then the next table is appointments. It has again appointment ID, patient ID, doctor ID, appointment date, time, and symptoms. From a doctor's perspective, he would need these 2 tables, diagnosis and appointments, to look them up together and generate a report, right? After every patient is seen, they will assume they generate a report, and for that you would need the appointment details and you would also need the diagnosis details. So we'll see all the join combinations for these. So let's execute one by one. So let's check it out. What's in diagnosis table? Okay, this is the result. You can see at the bottom is row 1 of 33. So there are basically 33 records in a diagnosis table. And then let's run the appointments table just to see what's in it. You can see this is a huge table. This is 573 rows. That many appointments have been stored in the database so far. And now let's go to the join. So we want to know all the appointments that have matching diagnosis. So my query is select star from diagnosis, join appointments on diagnosis.aid equals appointments.aid. AID is the appointment ID. So I'm just saying join. I'm not saying inner join. This is good enough. So let's run this query. Here you go. So as you can see, only the matching rows from both are fetched, and I have 23 rows. Can you see that? So how is it placed? I have diagnosis table first mentioned, right? So I'm going to have all the diagnosis columns mentioned first, and then the appointments column follow through next. So this is all the matching ones. Then let's do a left join. So all the rows from the left table should be picked, and only the matching rows from the right table should be picked, right? So this would be a select star from diagnosis, left join, appointments on diagnosis AID equals appointments AID. Let's run that. So in the previous one, if you see, the matching ones from both were picked, so I had the result had 23 rows, and now my result has 33 rows. If you remember, the diagnosis table had 33 rows. Can you see that? At the bottom, 33 rows. This is the diagnosis table. So when I do a left join, I'm getting 33 rows, all of them, and the matching ones are picked from the appointments and no more. I think it's set for here. So the diagnosis columns are mentioned first, and then the appointment columns, and only the matching ones are picked. The rest are going to be, see, anything, we remember from the Excel sheet, okay, this is my left join, right? So all the rows from the employee tables were populated, and any matching from the right table were populated. If not, they had null, right? Similarly, I'm going to have some null on the right if there isn't any matching ones. So that means this diagnosis tables, this particular row with the diagnosis ID 11 does not have an appointment corresponding to it, relative to it. It's just standing loose. Anyway, so let's go to right join now. So this is going to be select star from diagnosis, right join, appointments on diagnosis AID equals appointments AID. So my appointments table, all the rows are going to get populated, and then the matching diagnosis are going to be populated, and rest of the appointments which do not have a diagnosis are going to have null values, right? There you go. Again, because the diagnosis table is mentioned first, you always have the diagnosis columns listed first, and the appointment table is listed next, so the appointment columns are listed second. And then all the appointment values, if you see here, are populated. Okay, there you go. So these appointment ID number 5 does not have a diagnosis attached to it, so all of them are null. Similarly, appointment ID 6 does not have a corresponding matching diagnosis, so all are null. appointment ID 7 does not have a matching diagnosis, so all are null. So that is the right join. Now, this is a fun part. The outer join or full join, which is going to combine both the tables, no matter whether there is a match or not. So the syntax is select star from diagnosis full join appointments. Okay, this is going to take a while because we know that. Can you see? Can you see? Oh wow, it already completed. Because when I was trying during the daytime, it took me a while to finish. How many rows do we have? 18,909 rows. And if you scroll down, probably these are the matching ones. And then at some point of time, you should see nulls on the left and then nulls on the right for the not matching ones for either table. 18,000 rows is a lot to scroll down. Oh boy. I wanted to see something. I think I'm scrolling too fast. But you know it should be there because this says record 1 of 18,909. And for a quick calculation, I want to show you something. Okay, we saw that, the diagnosis has 23 rows, right? So 23 times, and my appointments had 561 rows, if you remember. See? Oh, diagnosis has 33 rows, and appointment has 561 rows. So 33 times 561 equals 18,000. I'm a little over here, maybe because some of the, we don't have the good primary key constraints and all that, right? Maybe because of the junk data, but roughly it is there, 18,000 and odd. So do not perform a full join without thought. You can bring the whole database down into a crawling condition or still stop in a real world depending on how big those tables are. So use caution before you use a full join. So that's all about joins. Let me briefly stop to ask Mr. Rao. Mr. Rao, should I continue with the group by or what? Hello?
Yes, Meena, yes. You can go ahead and continue. Let me check the questions.
Okay.
Okay, somebody asking full join means A plus B, and a cross join means A into B, A multiplied B. Is that correct?
Okay, cross join we don't use in MySQL. Be careful with these terminologies. In MySQL, cross join and inner join are one and the same. Like I said, there are a lot of flavors to it. So depending on whichever database you're going to be working in the real world, you need to use those terminologies. As far as this MMP is concerned, we are only using MySQL. Here, inner join, join, cross join, all three mean the same, which is the intersection part of two tables. So basically this is your cross join, join, inner join, everything.
Actually, Sonia is saying it is not correct.
For MySQL it is so, because I only checked it today, but not for other databases. That's why I said each vendor has its own specific flavor and syntax definitions. Similarly, if you go to full join or full outer join or outer join, each one is slightly, each database vendor calls them slightly different. So whatever database you're going to be working in, you need to check the manual and know the definition.
Okay, one more important part, we don't need to know like all these different cross join and all those because of these dependencies of the database. As an interview point of view, mainly focus on difference between left join and right join or inner join and outer join. So those are 4 things if you are comfortable, and also group by and having class. Why we have to use having class in group by, and what is group by? So maximum these are the information you should be familiar. So other things we really don't need to discuss here, but as we mentioned, it is depends on also the some database. So let's not discuss too much and confuse about other things. Okay, so let's not worry too much about the cross join and multi, what is that called? It's a cross join, I think. Yeah. So let's not worry too much about this, otherwise it will confuse everyone about cross join. So mainly focus left join, right join, inner join and outer join. Okay, that will help us to avoid a lot of confusions. Because even in real time we don't even talk about these cross join, full join and all those. Just for interview sake only we have to know difference between inner and outer and left and right. Do you use group by and having class? Either one of the inner and outer joins or left and right join. Okay. Okay, Sonia. So let's not worry too much and discuss about this. Let's focus on only those 4 important stuff.
Okay. So shall we start group by?
Yeah, let's go ahead. Yes.
Okay. So let's go into group by and having. Let's start with the database. Again, the same employee database. I have employee ID, employee name, department ID, and designation. So when we have an entity like this, all the employees, without even having the need to attach it to another table by a join, just within this single table, I need to subclassify or subdivide by some criteria. Needs occur from time to time. For example, I could want to know my employees subcategorized by departments, or I could want to know my employees grouped by their designation. So I might want to know what's the number of managers, what's the number of analysts, what's the number of team leads, like that. So I want to group my employees by their designation, or I could want to group my employees by the department they are working in. That's why you need a group by. So there's just a simple one table, but still we need to divide the table with some meaning. And that's why the class is named group by. So basically group by subdivides a table by a criteria. So the table is employee table and it is grouped by what criteria? The designation. So if you take this whole rectangle as your employee table, it's split into 3 parts here because I have 3 kinds of designation: the analysts and the manager and the team leads. So I have 1 employee as a team lead, and I have 2 managers, and then I have 4 analysts. something like that. Similarly, another example, my employee table is grouped by department ID, so I get 3 classifications, one for department 1-1 and then 2-2 and then 3-3, and I have 3 employees over here and 2 over here and then 2 over here. And then what does having do is having adds additional filters to your subclassifications. We'll go to that after we see examples in group by. So this is my employee table. I'm going to group by designation, and how do I write the query is, oops. So you have select and then whatever you are grouping by, that column name, that criteria. So I'm grouping by designation, so I'm going to say select designation and then count of employee ID, because I want to know how many employees are in each designation. So that's my aggregation function. And this is as number of employees is an alias name from employee table, and then group by designation. So you have a select statement, and then you have the column names, and then you have the from clause, and then you have your table name, and then you have the group by clause, and then here you mention what you are going to group by, your criteria. So here it is designation. Whatever criteria you're grouping by, that is appearing here as one of the column names, because that's what you want to see, right? So I want to see the designations. And then in each subclassification, what do you want? What aggregated function do you want? In this case, I'm doing a count. You could also use like a max or min or anything like that. So we just want to get the number of employees, so we are just doing a count here. So select column names from employee group by designation. So I have designation, number of employees, analyst 4, manager 2, and team lead 1. Similarly, I can do another grouping based on the department ID. So select department ID, count employee ID as number of employees, from employee table, group by department ID. So the group by criteria is also mentioned here as department ID. And then the aggregate function is next to it. The thing not to get confused about is whatever you're grouping by cannot be aggregated. So if I'm grouping by department ID, that cannot be aggregated further. So that has to be as it is, and then you have aggregation separately. So I have my department ID and then how many in each department. So if I want to add a filter to it, now I don't want to simply know how many employees. I want to know another condition. I made an example. So group by department ID, having more than two employees so that you can fire the extra one for budget cuts. So I want to find out which department has more than 2 employees. So select department ID, count employees, from employee table, group by department ID, having, this is your filter, having what? Whenever the count of employees is greater than 2. So I just get 1 row. I hope this is clear, right? So either we could simply have a group by and the columns with the aggregate function, or we could have group by along with additional filters with a having clause. So why do we use a having clause? Because the regular select queries have the where clause used up already as a filter. So they cannot repeat where again. So for group bys, the filter clause is having. So this is how it goes. So let's look at the MMP queries. So the tables I selected here, it's grouped by one single table, right? So I selected the reports table to work with. So if you see, the report table has report ID, report name, report image, report description, and appointment ID. You see, there's an appointment ID. Now I want to subgroup or subdivide all the reports by appointments. So how do you write the query? Select, and then my columns. One would be the group by criteria column name. I'm grouping by appointments, right? So select AID, that's the grouping column, and then the aggregate column. I want to know how many reports are there for each appointment. Sorry, I didn't read the question. Find how many reports are attached to each appointment. That's what we are aiming to get. So select AID and then count of report ID, which is going to give me how many reports are there for each appointment from reports table, group by appointment ID. So let's run this. There you go. So appointment ID 0 has 49 reports to it. Appointment ID 1 has 6 reports to it. Appointment ID 2 has 2 reports. And then mostly it's 2s and 1s. Some of them have only 1 report attached to it, and some of them have 2 or 3. You see it, right? So now I want to put additional filters. So how am I going to make the problem? Find out the appointments that have more than 1 report attached to it. So you saw, right? Some of them had 2 reports attached to it, and something had like a lot of them. One appointment ID 1 had 6 reports to it. So I want to know those appointments which have more than 1 report attached to it. See, you need to know that in real world, because for each appointment, whenever you have more than 1 report, you might want to consolidate them into one folder per appointment for future references, ready reference. So you want to pull out all the reports that are attached to single appointment. So if it's just 1 appointment, I'm not going to bother. If it's just going to be 1 report, I'm not going to bother. Whenever an appointment has more than 1 report, I want to see all those. So select appointment ID, which is the grouping criteria, and then my aggregate function, which is count of reports from reports table, group by appointment ID, and then having count greater than 1. Count of reports greater than 1. So there are 20 appointments which have more than 1 report to it. And these are all those. So all of the numbers in the right column, which is the count of reports, should be more than 1. Watch it. All of them are greater than 1, right? So this is how you do the having attached group. Is this clear? Because I have one more, which is union, but it's really short and sweet. So if it's clear, I can go on to unions, or I can stop here for questions. Mr. Rob, are there any questions?
Yeah, I think there is no Can you join here and filter it further, showing patient name and how many reports he has? I think there is one question. Can you use a join here and filter it further, showing patient name and how many reports the patient has? So we
Yeah,
just want to know.
basically, yeah, I mean, I did not do it because remember from the last session when we tried to build a big query, then you missed the point of understanding the concept. So that's why I made it simple, but I can tell you what goes where. Basically, what you see here, let me highlight it. See, this is select column names from table name, right? That is basically your preliminary or foundation. That could be made it as simple as this, or instead of from reports, you could have two tables here. Because imagine if you have a join here, it's going to perform the join first and convert it into a single table and then perform group by on top of that. So when you perform group by, I'm going to group by only on one table. Understand that clearly. Group by is always performed on one single table. But how you arrive at that one single table is up to you. Either you can just pick a table which is as it is in the database, or you could have that table arrived by joining two different tables, or even 3 or 5, as many as you wish. How do you do multiple tables? Table 1 join table 2 gives an intermediate table. Join with table 3 gives you another intermediate table. And then you finally got one single table. Now you do a group by. So this first line that's highlighted here can be as complicated as you want or as easy as you want. So instead of from reports, you could always have more than one table and have a join there with a condition 2. Why not? I didn't do that because then you lose the whole purpose of understanding this. So we did that last time, and I thought it was, getting away from group by and not understanding group by. By this simple one, you know that group by is always done on a single table. And then it is done on a criteria, a single criteria like an appointment. So you classify that. And then in your sub-classification, if you want filters, you can have having. But the table that you pick to do your group by can be done with multiple tables, with filters. In that filter, what would you use is a where clause. The having filter would be only used with the group by clause. Does that answer your question?
Okay, I think it's good.
Okay, so we'll look at unions too, because I think Mr. Rob is going to show us web services, so I don't want to take too much time than promised. Union is really, really simple. They may ask you to know if you know the difference between a union and a join in interviews. Basically, that's why they ask it. What union does is it combines two query results. So if you see here if you remember from the claims part in the admin module, originally we had only the private insurance providers like Aetna, BCBS and all that. So in the claims, there would be a drop-down box menu from which we would pick Aetna or BCBS. And then Indira suggested that we would add federal insurance providers also like Medicare and Medicaid. So now there's a new functionality that's coming up. User is requesting it, so the developers are adding it. And for all practical reasons, you do not want to mess up the private insurance providers with the federal providers into one table. So what would they have ideally is all the private insurance providers would be in one table and the federal providers would be in another table. So this is table 1 and this is table 2. But now we want the claim form to show both the providers in the drop-down box. So I want to have both of them listed together in one drop-down menu. How would the developers do it, or how would you test it if that's how it's working, is you do a select provider name from the private providers. So this will give all the providers from the private providers, and then select provider name from federal providers. So this is query 1, this is query 2. You just put the keyword union in between, and voila, it gives you the entire list. It sums it up for you. As simple as that. So what's the difference between join and union? Join combines two tables, and then union combines two query results. This is the only difference. Remember this. Did you see? This is query 1, query 2, and then you do a union in between. But we remember from join, right? We did table 1, join, table 2. So the only difference between join and union is join combines two tables and union combines two query results. And I also have a MMP query here. Okay. The thing is, we had my doc in one table, list of doctors, and then there was also a doctors table, again list of doctors. So imagine there is a doctor group practicing which want to merge with another doctor group practicing in the next area, like say one doctor group in Alpharetta want to merge their business with another doctor group in Roswell. Now in this application, they don't want to offer just the doctors in Alpharetta anymore, but they also want to offer all the doctors from Roswell too, so that the patients, when scheduling an appointment when they pick the doctors, they could pick both the doctors from both the practices. So now I want to merge both the doctor lists. So for now, pretend my doc is one doctor group practice, and then doctors is another doctor group practice, and both of these doctors are in different tables. I want to merge them. So first, union is joining two query results, right? So this is query 1, select doctor name and description from my doc. I can run this separately. So this is my doc table. You can see there are 4 records here: Alexander, Edgar, Doc Rivers, and Joan Rivers. Now I'll run the second query separately, which is select doctor name, description from doctors. This is the second table. And this has 3 records: Alexander, Edgar, and Patel. Now we want to combine these 2 query results using a union. Now if you see, the number of records here are 5. Remember, there were 4 in one and 3 in the other, I think. Yeah, there are 3 records in doctor's table, and then 4 records in my doc table. And the union query gives me 5, meaning the duplicate ones are removed. So if you remember, Alexander and Edgar are repeated in both. Alexander and Edgar are here too, and here as well, right? So the union gives only 1 Alexander and 1 Edgar. So this is union without duplicates. If you want the duplicates, you just say union all. So it will not remove the duplicates, it will just give you all of them. Yeah, now you have 7 rows, 4 from the first table and 3 from the second table. So Alexander is here, and then Alexander is repeated here too. And then Edgar is repeated too. So you have 7 records. So this is how you could merge 2 lists that are there separately in the database into one list and use it in your UI as a choice to pick from. That'd be all. Thank you. I'm done, Mr. Ram.
Thank you, Meena. I hope everyone is clear about how the joins group by class on MMP application. Is everyone clear about group by class, having class, joins on MMP application? Especially, like most of the guys wanted to know how do we write a query on MMP. So Adilakshmi is saying that to use the union in both tables, should have same number of columns and same data types.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, you cannot do a union on apples and oranges. You can only do a union on apples and apples.
Okay. So thank you, Adilakshmi, for bringing the good question.
Yeah, that's a good question actually.
I think she's informing us. I think it's not a question, looks like. So that's good.
Yeah.
So I hope everyone is clear about SQL queries on MMP application. Okay. So let's discuss a little bit about web services quickly. Josie is asking, all these are performed on select statements only.
When you say all these, what do you mean by all these?
I think maybe all the queries that we did.
Like, see, why do you use the select is ultimately you want to display something as a result. Select is the only way you will display any result out there. So that's why all of them have select on it.
Yeah, I think her question is, her question is like, can we do delete union on delete statement? Let's say delete from table name where column name equal to X, union delete from table name column name equal to Y. Something like that, right? That's what you are asking, Josie?
Well, I don't think so. I think that all these are based on retrieval, data retrieval only.
Yeah. Okay, guys. So even interview point of view, these are the important, whatever we discuss by Meena. If you can focus on these stuff, that should be good enough. But there may be some people may ask something like, like if you want to select a name by particular, start with X, start with A or start with B, how do you use? Like is the one to in where condition or maybe having or somewhere.
I provides you with method calls, and those method calls could have parameters or it could come without parameters. For example, the one that we tried right now is with a get one, right? So we tried get one with 1 parameters, the ID value as 200. So what this is basically will do is it will make a method call to a API. API is a component or a little piece of software or a little program, software program that is sitting on some server at this URL. Okay, so this web service is hosted on a app server, and then that web service is also given an address. That address is the URL. And then depending on whether the web service is expecting a parameter or not, you call that web service with the parameter or not. So here we supplied the parameter 200. And then we got back the results. So the similar comparison would be when we did the here, when we did a submit a claim, you got the result back in your UI. So you put in your input through this UI, through this screen. There were fields displayed for you. You typed in your parameters. All these are input parameters. And then you click the submit button. And then what you got back is also a UI. You visually see a output or display on the screen. But in a web service, this is how you get back your response or your results back from the web service. So it could be in JSON, XML, HTML, anything, or however they design it. And then why do we use a web service is web services or those little programs have a greater scope than your GUI applications. Why? Typically web services or middleware components. They could be used by many other components. Typically web services are not used or not called by human beings. So when you say human beings, if you use a GUI, if you use a GUI like here, I am a human being typing in all this and submitting the submit button. So I am a human being which is making the method call. But in a web service, it is another application which is making the method call. So web services clients or some other programs. So it's a program A calling program B. So program B is your web service. Web service services other software programs. That is why it does not have a UI and it only has web service calls, which are in HTML if it's a REST, and it could also be a SOAP-based web service in which it would be a SOAP protocol. Does that make sense? I even forgot what the question was.
Okay, I sent some information in the docs. In the chart message, I provided the link for the post, get, put, all these methods with examples. We will create a flow. Like the question is, how the flow between this insurance service provider and the patient portal.
Okay, so when you press the, okay, let me go to the website again.
Do one thing, if you can open a paintbrush, simple way, like
okay.
Most of the folks know about the patient portal, and also I think we also asked to test the claim application. So very simple, like on you can put the left hand side, or maybe you can give me the control. I can just give you small diagram.
See the control actually. Yeah. Yeah, I did it, I think. Did you get it?
Mm. This is entire MMP application, and this is insurance service provider. I think this was discussed. I think there is some clearing house where the insurance are cleared and it goes to the insurance service providers. But in the middle there is a web service calls. So MMP patient portal, here this one is insurance service provider. Let's assume Aetna. So this is the web service calls. It's all middleware technology in XML format or some JSON. So here I am submitting the claim to insurance company. So how do we submit the data to the insurance company? Through web service calls, using maybe post method. Okay, so suppose I wanted to see whether this this claim is posted or not, this claim is available in this Aetna or not. I can use get method with the particular user ID, then I can get the data, like how we just showed about get method to retrieve the particular customer ID or user ID. If you want to delete the particular UID, you can use the delete method. But this is the flow between two different applications. But it has its own database, it has its own entire different structure. And same thing, insurance has its own structure, own logic to process each and every single claim. There are 1,000 different rules to process each and every single claim. But there are many validations here to process the insurance claim. Like as you know, in common, if you want to take a general, let's say if I go to a doctor's office and if there is X-ray, maybe $500 deductible. If it is insurance is processing, if it is after only $500. So there are 100 different logics has to be validated here. Based on that, it will be approved or rejected or partial payment. That will be submitted with the payment back to the requester. Then they will process again. If it is not, insurance is not covered, they will collect, and if the patient is not paid, they will send it to collections, and there is a different process. But here our purpose of the web services is exchange the data between two different applications. But as a tester, you will be using these web services to make sure the data is submitted to the claims insurance company, and data is inserted into the database, and the data, whatever it is retrieved, is it valid or not. So we are writing the database query and compare the data from the database with the response XML. So that is our job. In interview point of view, if you can explain this part and just talk about RESTful call has get, put, post and delete methods. They may ask you what is the purpose of get and post or get and delete. Using delete, you can delete the particular row, and using the get you can get the data, and put is to create the data. So put and post are almost similar. There is very small difference, that is the technical side. So user side there is not much difference. User side means like for as end user, if you see like put and get, it's almost creating or updating data. Okay, so let's go to the, yes, Smita, is patient also can be made through web services, but right now we are not implemented all this stuff. We are just simply, so what do you mean, like from insurance company can make the payment, they will send the information, but payment can be made, let's say if they have electronic payment, it can be implemented through web services. Maybe patient portal send the information with the bank account also. Automatic payment should be deposited to the particular bank account. Let's say Georgia clinic submitted a claim from patient portal to Aetna Insurance. Aetna Insurance can accept that and process the payment through web services to their bank account. So there is no physical checks mailed, there is no manual work is. Everything is electronic through web services. Even the payment also be directly transferred to the bank account. Okay, so let's let's go to the patient portal. Sorry, not patient portal. Web services SOAP-AI tool, and create a new RESTful call, new REST project. Sonia and everyone, so please look into this. This is how we create the project, new REST project.
Okay, so this is a new one, REST
Yeah,
project.
maybe you can minimize all of them and close
Other
all the windows on the right hand side also, so it will be clear to everyone. Okay, this is the one we double click on request one. You will see this. The left side is the request, right hand side is the response. So here in resource we have to provide users, as in the path is you have a /API/users. Yes. So if you want to get particular user, you have to provide the user ID. So in our case, we have, I think user ID is 200, or we have some other users also like 2, 10, 20 odd. Let's do only users one, not 200.
another user?
No, that's fine. I think it's okay. Okay, so it returns the data from the insurance claims process. I think Lakshmi asking a question in the submit. When we submit the claim, we are submitting the date of birth and few other informations, right? But why we are getting only this information? This is basically coming from our insurance claims database. Only this is the information we are sending back to the portal, patient portal. That is why we are getting only these fields. It can have a few more fields also, but for now we just implemented to get some idea what is the data we are retrieving from insurance claim and submitting to the patient portal back. Okay. So similarly, in the document I shared with you, I also posted in the chat panel. Again, if you want, I can also share with you in the emails. So it has all clear steps about how to use put, how to use delete. Maybe if you want, you can use the delete, that will be quick. Method, you can select method and delete. So it's deleted. Maybe if you want to go and get again, maybe you want to go to database, yeah, that is the best way. Database and so it's deleted.
Yeah.
So let's go to the SOAP-AI again and we'll do get. So it's false means like even if you go to XML or JSON, so it's basically, so we don't have any record. So similarly you can do put, I think that is the only, or put or post, that's the only method you have to insert. So the data is clearly given, all the information fields, maybe from the right hand side, or you can, when you click on right hand side, there is a parameters. You just need to paste all the information that we given in the document. Now here,
basically you have to put here.
yeah, just copy and paste that information that we have provided in the document. So you can able to insert it. Or if you want, you can, do you have the document?
Yeah, I'm trying.
Actually, I also kept in the chart message. If you want, you can open that.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah,
whatever is click, you can
have
try.
it open.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Maybe change the name. Otherwise, there are many records on that same name. Okay, I think in the user ID you have to.
I'll just change the date. So
Yeah. On the resources, we don't need the user's ID.
is that supposed to be empty or just
Yeah, just keep it till that.
users?
Yeah.
And I put post, right?
Yeah.
Oops.
Can you go to the document? The resources.
I think I put an extra
Yes.
slash.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's verify the database.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's here.
So let's go to the UI also, the claims. I think we just search for the. Okay, so we have the data. Now if you want, you can change the data and see.
So yeah, it says updated.
Yeah. So we can also verify again in the get method for the same ID. I think we need to know what is the
I
ID,
need
right?
to remove this, right?
Yeah, maybe go.
It won't let remove them altogether. I just have to do it one by one.
Or you can click that X mark, so it will be easy for.
Which one? This one?
No, on the.
This one?
Yeah, right. Try that. I think the same thing. You have to select everyone.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, whatever is easy you can do.
And here we need to give, I forgot the 201. The ID is 201, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have to change it to get again.
Mm-hmm.
Run.
Okay. So that is the data we updated. It's written. Okay,
Yeah,
guys.
it says 100 accepted. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the flow between multiple platforms using web service calls.
Oh, and also another advantage that you could mention for web services is like you showed in the picture in the paint. I don't know where it is. Yeah. Like here, like today now MMP is calling the Aetna provided web services. Tomorrow there could be another ABC company which also is submitting the claim through Aetna, through the web services. And the beauty is this MMP could be running on a Linux server, a Java application or a PHP application. And then this XYZ company which is making a web service call could be running on a Windows machine with .NET on it. So web services does not care what platform or technology that the client application is calling from. All it cares about is if you are typing in the URL right and if you are supplying the parameters in the prescribed way. That's all it cares about. That's why it has become so popular, because it's independent of technologies.
So I hope everyone is clear about what we did today. So thank you everyone. So the document we shared, I will update again, I will share with you. So this session is over for today. And thank you, Meena, and thanks everyone for participating. I hope all the questions related to the web services as well as SQL queries are clear. And the only thing is what are the bugs we filed I am working with the developers to fix it. So it will take a few days. Few days means by maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, next Tuesday, Wednesday, we will have most of the bugs will be fixed, and there are some new features also we requested. So the new features and the bugs, those will be fixed and applied to you. So we'll